Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back whatever. Welcome to this edition of Travis Told You. My name is Travis. Oh man, speaking of this mic, I feel like I'm almost 100% healthy. Like there's a few times I feel like I've been bordering on sickness. Like, oh, I throw this and that. And you know what? I feel like it's getting closer. I hope everyone's having a good week, a good December. It's 13th today, gonna be 14 in a few hours, maybe by the time this is done. No, I don't think so. I'm not going that long. But yes, as this week's Trash Told You should be the only. Well, I don't know. I might do another one because I'm not on the Avatar review. I'm not gonna do. I'll probably the next Trash Told You talk about Avatar, if not talk about it on Golden Geeks. I'm not on it because, like I said, I got the Daughter's Dance recital, and as I've said before, it's I would miss any big movie for that, but at least with Avatar, it's like, all right. I think the review is going to be really fun, so I employ people to go on that. Hopefully, Dale might be a little outnumbered because the Avatar Na'vi boys, but I want to be on because it'd be fun, but I'm excited to talk about during Golden Geeks and everything. So I might do one more maybe before and stuff like that because I won't be, I'm free the Thursday after. It's just that I wouldn't have time to see it then reviewed and stuff like that. So we'll see. Look out for the feeds and everything like that. But this is Travis Told You. Always I usually have an intro for all these shows. I don't for this, but I guess this is just the show from my mind. This is the show if you can't get enough of Travis Snail, my ramblings. If you want a bit more, I'd say inside baseball at times, geekdom and stuff like that. I'm your guy here at GeekVerse. I'm loving. We've had a good run so far. Not saying it's gonna end. If things go to play, next year's gonna be busy. And this is not me trying to preempt and say, "Oh, Travis told you might not be around." No, my plan is to keep it around. But I've always said before, like I'm always gonna critique it and change it depending on life because we're recording lots of things. In a couple weeks, you'll get to see what our whole slate is for 2023. We're also going to be hopefully, this is not us announcing it because I don't want to jinx it because we announced it 2 years ago and then fucking COVID hit hard. We had to shut everything down. People moved. Our hope is to film a movie next year. We don't know which one yet. We have a long list. We want to get to them. It's like I said before, if people don't know, we want to do this. So it's been a passion of mine, and we've done it's funny we were talking about the other day. We've done lots of things on YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, and they're all short films. Even the matches are kind of short films. Gauntlet was a TV show in the sense we've done a bunch of things, and when we film something in the summer, we're like, man, we got to do this. It's just always been time, and with COVID, it sucked because we had started to film. I can say it because it's been announced. Podcasting Can Be Murder. Just makes me sad because it'll happen. It'll definitely happen one day. It's just that the stars have to align for that one because that's our biggest cast, and a lot of the people that are main characters have moved or doing school. And the good thing is a lot of the people that have moved could come back or are coming back after they're done schooling. It's just a thing of, I know you might be like, oh, but what about the Geekverse? It's just Jessica's going through school, Dylan lives in Vancouver, Kyle's in Australia. So it's we were going to film, and that was the time where COVID was just it had affected America a lot, but we were relatively not in the clear, but it was fun. And then boom, it hit. So that sucks. But that's why next year there might be a couple times where I might have to say, hey, I might miss this week, but it's been a fun time doing this. I appreciate everyone that shares it. I appreciate honestly the downloads since November and December. It's always, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it's hanging in there with GeekVerse News episodes. And I appreciate that. As I said before, when I did this in the summer for the first time, I don't know what people are going to feel if I do something solely and whatnot. I've done them before, so I know people will listen, but the fact that I can sometimes stay neck and neck with the other cast, I very much appreciate it. I hope everyone's having a good couple weeks here. Well, I guess a good life in general, but I meant more to the wrap up to Christmas. I hope that you've got all your Christmas shopping done. I have not. I've gone the important people done, but not the important, but the gift exchange. That's important, but it's not a specific gift for the one you love. No, it's not that. So I got a couple things, but next week the kids go to the grandparents for a little bit, and so there's gonna be lots of days I can get a lot of stuff done, which is good. So I hope everyone else is having a good time. Christmas is going well. Are ramping up. It's weird. I was talking to this with Gwen. 12 days away. Crazy. Time moves fast. Time does not stop. And it doesn't stop? Everything we're doing here at the GeekVerse. Head down to the links below for everything you need to know. Podcast feeds, our podcast network, the Discord feed, the video, the audio, where to support us. Head over to Patreon and get ad-free exclusive early episodes. There was a change in the mean one. There was just some scheduling that went off the realm, so that kind of sucked. But either way, Mean Watch Along still happening. It's just gonna be happening at Sunday noon PST. Gonna watch the night before, either tonight or tomorrow. As Bub says. Oh, good. And I think I'm assuming it's your first time. Yeah, we're gonna be retroing that. That we're recording, I think, on the weekend or the Monday coming up, but that'll be out before Christmas. One too earlier, but there was double nights where we had cast planned and they got pushed aside and stuff. It's a terrible time for that because it's just like there's lots of plans and family stuff like that. And of course, this is one of our jobs, but we still want to have lives and everything like that. So might release like the week of Christmas, like the 21st or something. But still, it's gonna be that round and everything. It's gonna be a good time. But yes, after 9, the Mean One watch long is happening this Sunday, which is the 18th at noon PST. Like I said, we had to move it. I don't like having to move things because we announce them and stuff like that. But either way, it's gonna happen. We're gonna watch it. And if anyone wants to join, go ahead. There'll be a way for us all to watch it together. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a good one. So I'm excited. And then yeah, like I said, the Avatar review, Dylan's Best of Side Quest series is going on right now. And yeah, Patreon, that's the best way to support us because everything you do, everything you put towards that helps us do. Travis told you side quests. Like if you like the extra stuff, the patron, that's the biggest way. The ads, as far as podcast network, that's also a way too. As far as listening, we really appreciate that. But that's a good thing. You can go over and get stuff ad free and still support us. Things like Manscaped, if you're into that, whether you're for yourself or for a gift coming up, same thing. Every time you support our sponsors, support us, and it goes back in the shows. All the retros next year. Now that's gonna be the test. That's it. We're gonna do all these retros next year, and we hope they're they're paid for and we got the time. Because if it goes awry, then 2024 we might have to go lighter, and that's legitimately it. We're doing more work than ever because you guys, gals, and everyone in between are supporting us and stuff like that. So we really appreciate it. So as supposed to trying to see at least one Christmas movie every day. That Yule Log movie surprisingly wasn't a Christmas movie. Yeah, I don't want to ask because obviously you and someone else said, "Oh, see it without seeing anything." So I was wondering if that was it like, and maybe you can answer this as well. Is it a horror movie that is at least in the Christmas setting, or is it literally just kind of like a trickster movie and stuff like that? But I think I will. I got, that's a good thing about next week, I suppose. You gotta look out because next week the kids are gone, so I can watch a lot more adult-oriented things. I look today. You and I are both at 95. Really, you're at 94. Jurassic, experience, whatever. But yeah, and that's what I'll start with. I'll start with Espo's question and Maddie's question because when you go over to Patreon, you can send in questions about anything. And I appreciate people sending questions today because stories were a bit lighter. And then there's a couple more that came out today. So thankfully for that, but still was a little bit lighter. It's that time right now, right? Like Avatar's about to come out. It's Christmas. There is a rumor going around, like from multiple people that like we knew that was happening, but Saffron and Gunn had their meeting today. So people are like, oh, stuff's going to start leaking. I don't know, but because I feel like if it's a meeting of like 10 people and stuff starts to leak, like you can narrow it down. And I feel like if there's 10 people in a room and it's Gunn, Zasloff, and Saffron, those are the three. I don't think it's going to be those three, so it probably like a difficult thing. So I think a New Year, it's interesting because we've had such a switch, a little inside baseball before we get into news. So as always, people, if you don't like our banter on this or Geekverse, which I will say you probably do, because in the what was the results of the polls, when people said more banter, more just free talking and whatnot. So I appreciate that. This year is like our December is doing well and everything like that, but it's not like definitely not like last year because No Way Home, and I feel like there was something bigger. Oh yeah, and then the last December, that's when we had that drought because there's like a bunch of no movies than Wonder Woman, and then before that was like Mando and Skywalker. So December is usually like one of our biggest months. It's definitely not that, but it's a weird thing because there's not much content. Like all the shows died. Everyone's kind of waiting for Avatar. It's really the early next year, which is kind of uncharacteristic. It's like in January, what is it? Last of Us comes out, and then You in February, Ant-Man 3, Hogwarts Legacy. So it's like those first 2 months are packed. Yeah, same thing, Hawkeye last year. So luckily, like I'm happy with the numbers, but it's like each December has usually been, with December with the COVID one, that was like I've said before, we were after Endgame was the highest point up into last year, and now this year too. Like so, we've already beaten our year early on, so kind of thankful for that. The summer was really good to us, but we had great numbers in Endgame and stuff like that. And much like everybody else, I talked to other podcasters and stuff like, because there's no news, stuff like that. When COVID hit and like really hit no movies, it was just like, and it was like. it was like, oh man, that really sucks. Like we had this momentum, but then that Wonder Woman release, and then I think Mando was happening at the time. Maybe I'm wrong. Like that, or I think it was maybe Mando 2. Yeah, with the Luke finale, that's when like shot back up and like stayed and got not regular numbers and like went up again. So it's felt weird to be like, inside baseball. Like the December hasn't been the biggest. It's actually our summer, and I guess it's also because I have to look at. I think Spotify said this. I know Spreaker does. It's because that Comic Con, like inflated those, like not inflated. People listen, but that Comic Con, the Marvel one, just like, and it's just like kind of those things. Yep, nothing's gonna be the same thing when we got Endgame's. Like, yeah, nothing's gonna beat that for a while. So there's some inside baseball for you where. It's a quiet period and whatnot, but let's see. As what says, it's a horror movie involving a U-log, but there's really nothing else linking Christmas to it. Okay, I want to watch it because like I feel like I probably will try to this week because I hope I. Here's the thing: I don't want to be spoiled on it, and that's why I want to watch it right away because it's one of these things going blind, and then if you don't, you'll see a gif, a meme, the spoilers without context. But then I'll hate it if I go to watch it and it's like, it's all right. So I want to, as I'm going to talk to your question, I suppose, and Maddie's question too in a second here. There's tons of movies that are hidden VOD now, so that's the tough thing. So I suppose says when the first Geek for the episodes I listened to was the Disney Investor Day. That was probably when the movie needs started coming back. Yeah, no, honestly, I think that was the same December as the Wonder Woman thing, right? And that would make sense because it was just and that's inside baseball. It's just like that's when we accumulate people. It's like it's a funny thing where like the newscasts really I think drive the monetization because that's weekly. We do multiple stuff and then like that is the bread and butter of the GeekVerse, but then it's the reviews that like grow the reviews in the big events like that like find new people, look like yourself, I suppose, with other people. It's like I don't think Avatar will drive podcast listens the way No Way Home did. Let's talk. Let's say baseball here. I'm loving this little. What? I probably will for people. I'll probably cut out the main topic, put it there. So if you're not liking this, you can skip over. That's why we do the cutouts. I'm so curious to see how our podcast numbers do for Avatar because like some of the weirdest movies, Mike, is just like they pop. I can't remember what it was. Oh, last year there was something I don't know, but even stuff like I know like it was because movies were coming back. Like the last Fast and Furious, I think it's like our fifth or sixth biggest episode, and we've never like we reviewed one Fast movie before. But let's do some inside baseball. I'll pull up our stats here and find out what the top 10 is for the years. But I always love to see like what's gonna happen with the numbers and stuff like that because like even Halloween Ends, like our Halloween Ends review beat Black Adam. It's like in the same time period because that's always what we do. We measure it that way because you can go by the end of the month, but that wouldn't work because Halloween Ends have more time. Usually when we're doing stats, whether it's GWA, this, that, we okay. How much like are we always talking about like you've seen us tweet out before like this beat it in this weekend, like stuff like the Batman had a bigger weekend than Spider-Man No Way Home. I think is now our biggest day one, but then we've never had a podcast before where the day two was bigger than day one, and that was the Batman. And then what happened was we had the Saturday and the Sunday, and then the Monday was bigger than all three of those days. So that's why it's weird stuff. But like Halloween Ends being Black Adam, wouldn't have predicted it, and that's why for me the best like. And if you ever think about podcasting and doing this, like it's not advice. It's just like I think something that's out there is, what was I gonna say? When a movie is controversial or it has a lot of opinions, stuff like that, like Halloween Ends, that's what drives it. When Black Adam comes out and everyone just kind of goes, it's meh, or it's all right, or it's fine. And of course you have people that say, oh, I like it. But when it's just that general, it's meh to fine or meh to good, maybe. It does like well, like it's bigger than a lot of our episodes. I'd say like we always have the S tiers and there's certain episodes in the S tier and then there's like the A tier. I'd say that's like in the B plus where it's like it's above like a newscast, it's above like a weekly episode because that's like bigger and there's new people listening and stuff like that. But it's one of those like it didn't blow the socks off our numbers or anything like that. Like Halloween Ends did better. But what is our top? I'll give you our top 10 of the year right now for just the GeekVerse feed. And here's the weird thing too, like we have our separate feeds, right? And this is why people might ask like, oh, why do you do those? Like our Nope review on the podcast feed, it did good. It was like the Black Adam thing, like a B tier, right? And then on our review feed, which probably people maybe never found the GeekVerse feed, it was like in the A S tier numbers. Like it did like the feed, like it took a life of its own and stuff like that. And that's why we do it because I think it helps because Nope got to sit up there for a while where we do the cutouts and we like that because people have said, hey, we like these cutouts. I don't always want to listen to the whole thing if I don't like 4 of the 5 topics, but it does just push everything down. That's why we're getting really inside baseball. That's why you'll see we try to, movie comes out on the Thursday, we review it the Friday, and then try not to release anything till like the Tuesday-ish, maybe late Monday, because it just messes with the algorithm. Then it's gone. Or we release like something very small and everything like that. But let me see here. So the Batman surprised me. It honestly did, because it did so well. It got close to Endgame. It hasn't beat Endgame, because the day ones for these ones have been bigger, but Endgame just got listened to over and over and stuff like that. But so what is our? Let me go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here's our top 10 for the year. The Batman's number 1, Multiverse of Madness is 2, Elden Ring, and which is really impressive, because like we did a lot of game coverage before, but we kind of stopped because we ran out of time, and Dylan left, and he's like our gaming guru. So it's one of those things that we waited, like not waited, but just like we didn't have the time. The numbers were going towards movies, so I'm happy that SideQuest is back and we can give that out there. But Elden Ring's 3, Moon Knight episode 1 is 4, Obi-Wan 1 and 2 is 5, which is like it's 50 downloads away from Moon Knight, so it's very upper whatever. Let's see, number 6 is Thor Love and Thunder. Number 7 is the Super Bowl trailer breakdown. That's when we got the first look at Xavier and everything, so I think that's why for Multiverse of Madness that was big. 8 is Morbius episode. I don't even know why this one's up here. Moon Knight episode 2 is number 9, and then episode 10 is the Comic-Con breakdown panel, which is like, if you look at that, that's our top 10. I'm going to count till the next time we got a newscast. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So in the top 27, only 2 of those are newscasts. So that kind of gives you an idea that the newscasts kind of like that we do many and they drive the machine here, but the reviews are where they are at and stuff like that. And that's why I never know, like, that top 10 to me, that sounds pretty. I'm going to go back one more year. Indulge me here. You're getting a little. Either people are loving this because, like, I like when people go behind the scenes, or like, fuck, I tuned in for the Spider-Man trailer review, and here's this guy talking about his own stats. But anyways, talking about that with Super Mike, like, I'm so curious how Avatar is going to do, because as of right now, I think it got a general, it's good to great. Like, people are liking it. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the visuals. I get it. It's going to be visually stunning. I understand. It's going to be achievement. It's just the only thing people say is like a positive. I've actually seen some people say like, oh, it's a bit better emotionally than the sequel or the first one, but it's just overall the visuals. And for me, that does nothing, because like, I'm in there for character and story. So I think I'm going to like Avatar 2 about the same, right? So that's fine. But that's why I don't know, is it because there's like, people have been waiting for a long time, there'll be a rush of people to listen, or is it just gonna be like, oh yeah, that was good, and they leave? That's where, though, lots of times, if Avatar does have a huge success, like successful weekend as a big movie, most of the times that have had those big movie weekends, other than I guess Top Gun, but that was kind of overall, people do, like, we do get an influx because there's just new people looking to listen to something, right, and everything like that. So let's see. The same week was when WWE announced that all 2021 movies were going to HBO Max. I found you guys to the Batman. By the way, oh, thank you very much. Well, a lot of people did, because that's number 1 by like a lot. It's beat No Way Home last year too. I did not think it was gonna go that route, because like I know I love Batman and stuff like that, but I just thought No Way Home was such a powerhouse last year, and it got close to Endgame and stuff like that. Let's see. I listened to a podcast that their biggest episode ever was a review of Age of Adeline, a random Blake Lively movie. Oh, that happens. Like, especially if you go look at our YouTube, that's different because algorithms. But our biggest review is me, Kyle, and Liam, who some of you guys don't even know them. Me and them did a spinoff show on here. It was Day After Tomorrow, and then I think are actually. Maybe it's past it. There's a really fun review that myself, Dylan, Kyle, and then Emily, my wife, we did for a John Travolta movie called I Am Rap. We used to have this show called Netflix and Fail. When Netflix was different, I'm not sure if you remember, it had the star system. So we always used to pick from my Netflix a movie that was a failing grade and see did it deserve a fail. It was tons of fun to do. I'd love to bring it back someday, but yeah. Black Adam was really not that movie required deep analysis. 100%, right? Like, that's the thing where if there's nothing that when you leave the theater, good or bad, and if you just want to talk about it, want to hear someone talk about it, like, because this is how I am when I listen to podcasts, you're going to go and listen to it. I did, other than DC Alliance, I did not listen to a single Black did I? No, because like I was on vodka stream that weekend with the boys, and so I knew like Dave and Scott. So like, cause I still listen to Squadcast, like DC Squadcast, like they're newer, and then I do listen to Dave. Like I've said this before, like the people I listen to now are just my friends. Like it's completely been replaced, and most of the time I'm listening in small versions. But even then, like I didn't feel the need to go listen to some other podcasters that I go back to. So we'll see this. We'll see the return of Pandora. And in worst case scenario, what would Avatar have to gross worldwide for the sequels to be canceled? Well, I think we'll talk about that in a bit because I'm going to talk about the box office. But I think no matter what, 3 isn't canceled, and I don't like. We'll talk about projections. The numbers it's projecting, it's not enough to cancel 3. You know, and Cameron's even said like, "Hey, we will keep going and stuff like that, or we'll make 3 at least an ending if it sucks." But the box office sucks. But anyways, we'll talk about that. We'll get there in a second, but anyways, yeah, like you're saying, Superman Mike, I'm very curious because sometimes, that's what I've seen. What last year's top 10 was. So last year was No Way Home, and yeah. So here you go. Second, Fast and the Furious 9, and Fast and Furious also did really well on our review feed. So Spider-Man No Way Home, Fast 9, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Matrix Resurrections. There's one here. There's one that I'll use for example if like the people want to talk about it. You look at that movie, it pretty much bombed in the theaters, right? I think so. Somebody try and get me if you do a quick search, like what was the Matrix budget versus the box office run. But that's a movie that even though it bombed, there was such a divide between Matrix fans being like, this is a great sequel, the one I've been waiting for, or this is even worse than the other sequels. This ruins Matrix. Even if you can get a movie that doesn't do well, you could get a movie that, like I said, Matrix Resurrections review could be bigger than Avatar. Because if Avatar comes out and people are just like, yeah, it's good, I enjoyed it. Not much discussion, right? But when Matrix are like, it's the death of the franchise or the rebirth of the franchise, that's when it's the best. So it's like that's what you kind of hope for. Like our Matrix review beat Shang-Chi. That shouldn't happen. MCU content's our biggest stuff, but it did. The Suicide Squad, Loki season 1 finale, Mortal Kombat, WandaVision finale, and the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer review. So there's only one newscast in there and stuff like that. But that's where you just never know what's going to pop. Thank you, S-Bubs, and all in the game. Budget 190, box office 157. Like, I get it. It was still COVID-ish time. Like, we're still in COVID times, but still, like, in, like, petering off when it was like No Way Home. Like literally No Way Home came out, and it wasn't like 2 weeks later when lots of theaters got reduced. At least it did in Canada. But fuck, that sucks. Because I like Resurrections. Go check out our review. But like that's where and that's where we can live in a scenario for us at GeekVerse. It's different with every podcast, right? Because it's what you cover a lot. Like I think our Dexter episodes did really good because I didn't see many people covering Dexter, and I did retrospective. So it all depends what happens. It dropped like 3 days after going home. Yeah, you're right. Because I feel like it was like they just want to make that money that opening weekend. Then it's like, okay, restrictions back. But like, there's a good chance that a $157 million movie will, honestly be more financially successful for us and do better than Avatar, which could end up being one of the biggest movies of all time, right? So that's how like some of the podcasting game works. And sometimes it's just luck. You never know what's going to pop. YouTube, you never know. Some of the most random stuff becomes big videos and stuff like that. So, all right, I'm going to take the ad break and then we'll get into some news and everything like that. So there's a little inside baseball. That was lots of fun. In the future, patrons, everything like that, always send us insight because I love talking inside baseball. I love sharing details because I like to be as honestly as possible. So Alex Garland or Denis Villeneuve in charge of Matrix reboot would have been interesting. Alex Garland would have been a fucking risk all in the game. I'm not saying it would have been bad, but that would have been, I think you could get a thread of people being like, it's worse than all of them, right? Like, and then some people saying it's the best, but the 4-hour Jake Sully character arc breakdown. Yeah, that's what's coming. Yeah. Oh. God, that movie. Avatar 3 will probably be 4 hours, but let's take our first ad break, and then we'll get into Spider-Man, Patty Jenkins, trailers, all that good jazz. We'll be right back. And we're back. So I lied. So I want to answer these 2 Patreon questions before we got into uh, into the main topics because they don't really fit anywhere else. S-Bubs asked about what my thoughts on Bones of All was, and what Maddie asked my thoughts on The Fableman. So anyone in the chat too, you can pop off if you've seen these, because all these movies are now on VOD. So I'm catching up a lot of movies. This is definitely like, there's a lot of movies out right now that I I would love to see in theater. If I didn't have kids, I prefer every movie in theater. I love the feel, love the speakers, everything, but I just don't have that time. So I have to be picky and choose. And still, I think I see a lot of movies for a guy that has 2 jobs and father of 3, like in the theaters. But there's just times where I gotta know, okay, I gotta cut this. So all the movies I'm talking about now were ones that like I want to see them, but I have to wait, and stuff like that. S-Bub saying Bones and All 4 out of 5. Phelan's 4.5 out of 5. Bones All I haven't decided yet. I'm sleeping on a little bit. That's why I've added to my list so you can kind of see where it's kind of spectrum, but I gotta think on it a bit more. I liked it more. Here's my quick reviews. I liked more than Fableman. Fableman's I gave like a 3.5. I've said this before, and I'll say this all the time, that I don't think Steven Spielberg has made a great, not a good movie. I think he's done that, a really good movie, sure, but like a great 9 out of 10 or higher movie since War of the Worlds, for me personally. I just feel like it's funny because right now I'm getting ready for The Whale. I'm watching Black Swan. Oh my God. I haven't seen it in a couple of years. I forgot how fucking good that movie is. S-Bubs, because I know you're watching a bunch of movies. If you plan on watching The Whale, do an Aronofsky like watch through, because there's some stuff you probably won't like, but he just has some of the best unique films ever. The Black Swan, man. But anyways, there's this moment where Vincent Cassel's talking about, this isn't big spoilers, so don't worry, S-Bubs, about Natalie Portman's ballerina, and she's trying out for Black Swan and stuff like that, right? So there's the idea she plays Black Swan and the White Swan, and the White Swan's very nice, perfect dancer, beautiful, stuff like that. Black Swan's vicious, seductress, stuff like that. And that's his point, is like why he worries she can't do both, is because like everything you do is just perfect. The line, like your movements are perfect, the timing's perfect. Like you can't use that for Black Swan. She keeps saying, it's like, no, like you've become so perfect you don't let yourself feel. Now that sounds very bad. I don't feel that way about Spielberg, but it feels like that sometimes, where I feel like his films are all made very well, shot very well, edited very well, pacing for the most part very well. They're always acted well, they're always written well, but they're just like missing a little soul for me. Like there's nothing like, and this again sounds probably really bad, but one time Leo was in an interview, he said something about Martin Scorsese, like he's in his 70s and he's still making rock and roll. And that's where I feel like Spielberg's retired from rock and roll. He doesn't do rock and roll anymore. Where I feel like you might go like, oh, E.T., that's rock and roll. There's like, it's a sense of pushing the boundary, and I feel like all his films are very safe. They're always very well made. I could never look at anything he's done since War of the World and say that was a bad film. Nope, it's always good. It's always varying degrees of good for me. There's nothing. And with Fablemans, I liked it. I enjoyed it. As many people have said, don't go in expecting the Spielberg, like the way they've advertised it, the run through his film career and how he fell in love with film. It's an aspect, but film is definitely more of a side plot to his parents' divorce and stuff like that. So I like it. And Spielberg, this is what happens too. Spielberg movies always have a few great moments. There's a few great scenes in here that are just like, man, I either really laughed a lot or I liked it. Michelle Williams kills it. If she gets nominated for an Oscar, completely understand. But there's all this hubbub about, oh yeah, this is going to be the one that wins him Best Picture again. No. That time has passed, everybody. That time has come and gone. I do not see that happening. I really don't. It's just, and this happens every year. Spielberg puts something out with a stellar cast, people start talking about it, and they forget about it when they get closer, because there's a much better things. Because I think he's just always like the safe nominee, and I know there's tons of people, like I suppose, would disagree with his score. Tons of people would disagree with my assertion. That's fine. He is still one of the GOATs. He's still always you can depend on making a good film. It's just, I don't think he pushes the boundaries anymore. Maybe he doesn't have to, but there's nothing like all these films I've seen the past few years. I watch them and they're gone. I have no desire. Ready Player One, Bridge of Spies, this. I'm mad because there's a really good. Oh, there's a great scene about. It's a mini spoiler, but I assume it's like about how Steven Spielberg loses his virginity. Oh, but like, and it's just like that I'll remember, but eventually I forget it. Like, I don't remember the movie as a whole, just bits and pieces and everything like that, right? But as it says, everyone has talked about it already, but I really did love the ending shot of the movie, made me smile. And yeah, it's the thing where I think if you're a Spielberg fan, appreciate film, you should see it. It's like fun origins of one of the greatest guys of all time, right? You look at everything. If he would have passed away after Schindler's List, he still would have been all the greatest all time. All this rest of the stuff is just like cherries on top. But it's just like I never walk away remembering his films. Super Mike says West Side Story was pretty terrible from Spielberg last year, and usually I love musicals. Yeah, I did not enjoy. I can't say it, but what I saw the back half, and oof. That's probably the closest I could, but that's always problem with Spielberg, right? I could never say like what you did, Mike, with it being terrible, because I always feel like, well, the actors are doing good, and like it's shot well. There, like I feel like all the basics are there, but it's never fully there. So I liked it. It was fine. I'll never watch it again. I'm waiting for Spielberg to wow. I was hoping this was going to be it, but I had my doubts because I feel like people talk him up all the time recently. And then Bones and all. Oh my goodness, that's a fucked up movie, and that's coming from me that likes fucked up stuff. There is something that happens in the first 5 minutes that I watching VOD, had to rewind because I was like, this has to be, and this happened with me here and with Tar, which I go recommend too. Tar, that's a Travis movie. It's focused around a shitty person, character study, played by the great Kate Blanchett. That's all I'll say. Oh yeah, good stuff. Really liked Tar. That movie had, and this movie had, where something happens, and while it's happening, like, oh, this is dream sequence, and then it's not. Tar had something that was like, oh, that was fucking crazy and fun. This was something so fucked up that I was like, like what? I was floored when I was watching it, and I don't want to spoil it. Like I don't even want to get specifics of this because I want people to go see it because I know, or watch it like I am at home, that I know probably not enough people have seen it. But it is disturbing in a way where it doesn't feel like Hollywoodized. It's about my sports. It's about cannibals that fall in love and stuff like that. But we follow main character and she's in this journey and stuff like that. But there's just even stuff like, I don't want to spoil the exact scene, but let's just say someone is being consumed. And there's like no score. There's no like big like. It's not like an action heavy scene. It's not like anything like that. It's just It just feels like you're in a room watching people fucking eat someone, and the sounds, and like it's not stylized, but in a good way. It's just raw and dirty, and like there's few things now that make me kind of my stomach kind of turn. And this movie had like close moments to that, and I was not expecting it. Really good, right up my alley. I'm just thinking like, and it's like I don't think I'll have time, but it's one that's like I want to watch again to kind of get like a final score on it. But it's definitely stuck with me. And it's funny because I don't want to butcher his name, but Luca Gursano, or however you say his name, who did Call Me by Your Name, fucking hated that movie. That is one of our biggest YouTube reviews as well. That was a movie I could not understand the love for it. Performances were great, same thing, made well, but I thought that was a very, very overrated. Was not a fan of Call Me by Your Name. So yeah, I was happy to enjoy this. I recommend it, but I recommend it if you if it's Christmas, you don't want to watch dark shit, don't watch it. That's how I felt bad too. It's like I want to watch something light and nice. I got a Christmas tree up, and here I am. Like they released that opening scene before the movie release, and it made me not want to see it in theaters. Oh, I didn't even know that. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I missed that, because obviously we still have been shocked, but I had no idea. I actually never watched a preview for Bones and all. I tried to, for not covering it on the cast, try not to watch a preview. I didn't see any of it, and that's gonna leave an impression with me for the year. That's what a start. And it's just such a weird world they set up, but it's just matter of fact. It's just very fantastical in a way, but they down in reality, like, yeah, this is just something that happens. These are just characters and things that exist. So fucking weird movie, but I really enjoyed that one. So I'm looking forward to kind of figure out where like I said, I want to know without spoilers. I can't say without spoilers where I want to put it, but it was almost like I did that with Hellraiser, where Hellraiser I did watch twice, and this is because Hellraiser was another one where like there's some fucking weird stuff in here, and now I gotta get past that. So, anyways, it wasn't in the trailers, but it dropped on social media as a clip. That's balls, but that makes sense. I feel like that would come out and be like, you gotta see this movie, right? So. we'll see. So let's talk about Spider-Verse. Finally, right? One stars out the yin yang happening right now. 36. He took 36 minutes to get to the main topic. Hey, sometimes we leave it to last. Who knows? But Spider-Verse, what is it? Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Hate these titles. Dropped their first trailer today. I guess I'll pull it up. I don't need to do a general, like, I don't know if I need to pull it up because I'm like, so it's funny you're in the chat. I'm with a few other people that felt like Spider-Verse is loved, right? And we're all anticipating it, but it was like this. I feel like a lot of us like that thought the trailer was all right, didn't want to rain on people's parade. It's like, oh, it's finally here. People are liking it. The trailer is like fine, but it reminds me a lot of, people should remember this, is the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning trailer that came out and is barely any dialogue, and it's just like scenes with music, and there's like no almost like gunshots or effect sounds, anything. It's just like, oh, this feels like it's like a trailer that's not completed yet, and they just released it. That's what this kind of feels like, or it feels like some behind the scenes DVD special. Like, we got nothing from the story, and this is where, oh man, I'll take a break before I don't want to rain on people's parade. So I was gonna say I trust the team. I trust the team for the most part. You got Chris Lord, Phil Miller, sure. My only always hang out with this is it's different directors. None of the same directors. They all said, oh, we're getting, we're busy, stuff like that. Still wish they were around. But that's why I can't for sure say, oh, we're in good hands. I love that everyone's having tons of fun, and I do like it. This is stuff that I enjoy. Pausing the screenshots, stuff like that. And maybe I won't bring it up because there's nothing like if you're on Twitter, you've seen it. You've seen all these threads, and you've seen threads of people getting mad. Like, I remember there was like the PS1 Spider-Man was trending. It's like he's in this, and then when you zoom in and someone did a side by side of like who the fuck, like who's smoking what to think these are the same characters. Color schemes off. The character that in the movie like looks like it has female breasts. Like, there's all, and it's fun, right? It's a good time. They're given lots of details, and there's some little fun things I'll talk about. But for me, that's all good and dandy. It's almost stuff that it's weird, but it's like stuff I'd rather wait for the movie. Now, there's probably going to be bigger ones, right? Like, obviously, Peter B. Parker's coming back. I think they could have withheld that. There's rumors of Tom, Andrew, Toby, stuff like that, right? So I get there, and that's one of Maddie's questions, like, what could they be holding? But for me, it's just like, I'm excited to see that, but I still want to know, like, that's not what the multiverse, Peter, Spider-Man, whatnot, were great in the first one. They all served the story and everything like that. I just don't want this to be like too much birthday. I don't want it just to become a look at this show, And that's to me what this trailer felt like. The first half of it was just scenes from the first one. There was a dialogue scene with the mom, which I actually wasn't enjoying, about like, you're still my boy and you're the man who is the boy, but the boy became the man. Protect my boy when you're out there being a man. It was some weird shit. Like, I'm making fun of it. It was more simple than that, but I just wasn't really into it. And it's just like, best of, seed randomly in the bridge that we have no idea what's going on, and people go, well, it's a trailer, you don't know what's going on. No, but you're supposed to try to contextualize that in the trailer in a sense, and it was just a bunch of random stuff, and that's where this movie still doesn't come out till June, right? So we have a long time. So that's why I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think it's like a bad trailer. It's just like, that's why it's okay. You have time to promote this. That's fine. It just felt like a weird trailer. It felt like we want to get this out before Avatar. And that would make sense with the first minute being a, kind of recap, because whatever people say, it did great later on, trended on Netflix and won an Oscar, of course. And I think it arguably is best Marvel film, could be best comic film. I wouldn't push back against you. But it still wasn't a massive box office success, right? And when they coming out in June, Flash month, Indiana Jones month, I'm pretty sure, right? That's in June. Someone tell me. I don't think it's July as far as Indy and Flash. It's like Spider-Man needs to move. And it's like, because I could see the numbers doing the same or worse. And someone would be like, no, but it's like let me take it out. Like, I think Spider-Verse box office is just like 200 something, like 260 or like maybe 300 box office. Okay, so I was lowballing 375 million, but still not like a runaway hit like Shazam and Black Adam did better, right? And it's animated, it's different, but still, we live in a world where at that point, $1 billion movies were getting slung around, and you have a Marvel Spider-Man movie, didn't touch it, right? So has to beat that. I don't know if it for sure can beat that. So we get like I was happy to see. I'm much like Chris. Like it's not my main one because I know it sounds like Ben Riley's in this, but like seeing Oscar Isaac as 2029, I'm like definitely one of my favorites. So I'm excited to see what they're gonna do. It seems like they're kind of putting him in the antagonistic role, so I like that. Um, Story beats. You got Gwen there. Bringing Miles around in the universe and everything. So that's good, but like it's all just basic stuff. It's just a lot of them like looking around, like, oh, whoa, stuff, wow, like, oh, Bagman, and that's what it is. It's a smorgasbord for us, and I do love that. But at the end of the day, I'm still gonna need story. Why Portals was so good is because there was a story there, and that's the same thing with Secret Wars. Like, it's gonna be great to see, let's see a Hugh Jackman, a Toby, a Reynolds, a Downey, all these people. But at the same time, like, I still gonna need a story there, so. We'll see. Like I said, I like the trailer, but it wasn't anything like Spider-Verse 1's trailers where I was hooked from day one. I think they always were good. So Superman says very odd structured trailer. I guess it's better than it spoils a bunch. Yeah. I, I guess it's not so much spoil. It's just like, what's this movie about? And I guess it's just them chasing the spots, maybe fighting another Spider-Man. Okay, and I don't need much. I'm sold, right? But just like as a trailer to, like, if it were to build up hype, it didn't because ever since Spider-Man 1 came out, all they've been, or Spider-Verse 1 came out, it was, oh, that's next movie. We're going to go fucking bananas with the cameos and stuff. So it's like, I already knew that. So that's why it's almost like with these cameos, I'd rather just wait till the movie and then at home when you pause and stuff like that. I know people might be like, oh, you should be looking out for the movie then. But I feel like you can kind of do both and stuff like that. As opposed as the Dead Reckoning trailer has been growing on me. I love it. Scores made. It is. And I think it works now, but the day of release, it was fucking weird. I still think there's like a little bit of weirdness to it, but as Bubs continues, says, I asked some other people who saw the trailer and they all seem to really like it. Mayday is very clearly edited out of some shots. You see Peter P just cradling nothing in his arms, some shots. Like, yeah, I don't. So there's like I don't know why they're hiding it because I'm pretty sure. Excuse me. They did this like YouTube premium show where they broke down the trailer and revealed things. And I think that's where some of the art came from. And Mayday was out there, and Mayday just looks like every one of my fucking kids. It's just so like I never thought like obviously I've been used to it for 5 years, but there's just many times I'm like, oh, I've had blonde hair my whole life. It's like I got a bunch of ginger kids. It's funny. So I see Mayday, it's like this just looks like one of my girls. So it's like they have a shot of him with the baby carrier, and then she's around, and like concept art's been released for her. So I don't know. Maybe it's they're not done with the animation yet, but it's very strange and stuff like that. It's June because July is Barbie versus Oppenheimer. Thank you, S-Bubs. Yeah, June. Like that's. I worry for Spider Verse. I really do with Flash and Indy because it's not so much again like families may want to take their kids to that, but at the same time it's just like inflation's huge right now. People got to make their choices, and if parents are already going to those two, do they also want to go to Spider Verse and then pay for all their kids? I will, because my kids love Spider Verse, so that's a day one. I'm gonna like, we love it. But there's tons of people that have just seen it on Netflix, and where will they see the second one? On Netflix, So anime movies in general are not doing well these days. And yes, Super Mike, that's another good point. Unless you're named Minion, you're like that's and it's so funny the barometer, right? All the other films I think we talked about, like Lightyear. Let me pull up because that was like trying to be the spin on Lightyear, right? Was well, all the kids movies are doing low, but Lightyear had done the best, right? So it's like, oh, there's something wrong with family movies, but Lightyear, you've done the best, and that's at 226 million. Minions comes out, Rise of Gru, and it's like 930 million, close to a billion. So it's just so funny the barometer of like all those movies and then Minions. And that's where I always said you can go back when we did our newscast of like light Pixar and Disney can feel better about Lightyear if Minions does the same. Because then you go Despicable Me, Minions, that's another big franchise. Look, nothing for families and kids is hitting. When that came out and killed it and just kept making money and money, like people don't talk about it. It's a nearly $1 billion film. Like it's bigger than a lot of the Marvel films, DC films. Like when that came on hit, that's what's like, okay, not that there's not an excuse because other kids' movies bomb too, but it's like it can be done. I just don't know what the numbers of Spider-Verse 1 if it's going to do that. I think I could see reality where it does lower. So I think they should punt it, but I think that's the good thing and bad thing. For us as geeks and nerds, we have so much to see, but for studios, I think with 2020 was like that, but I think 2023 is another sign of all these movies when they got piled up together because of COVID. Now they're coming out like and stuff like Flash. there's just going to be a bottleneck. And I think there's just going to be a lot of big blockbuster movies that just don't do well. Like the hope is that they just all do well and people are like, yay, movies. But there's also just a thing of like, we can get movies on VOD in 30 days. I can wait. I'll see this. I'll wait for a cheap Tuesday, whatever it may be. I think there's a lot of big movies that could crash and burn. And Spider-Verse, I guess it's like considered a big movie. That could be one and stuff like that. So as it says, he got a copyright claim from Paramount when Dead Reckoning trailer leaked because I posted the Mummy trailer bad audio and said it was Dead Reckoning trailer. I remember you tweeting about that. The Mummy trailer was a good time too when that leaked. If Disney makes Frozen 3, it's a guaranteed billion. I won't say a guarantee, but I'm with you that it would be their biggest film. Just because I've been on guarantee a couple times. I thought the Batman was going to make $1 billion. And then what? It didn't release in China or had like a small amount in China. There's been a couple. So I was right about No Way Home, but that was like this like 2 weeks before where I changed my mind where okay, it could make $1 billion. And then after that, I was like, this could make $1 billion, this could make $1 billion. You don't know because I know people have that theory of like people are accustomed to Disney movies being on Disney Plus, but like some of the Spider-Man in here are cool. You got Unlimited Spider-Man from the fucking people that like if you watch the Spider-Man animated show, there's a season after of Unlimited Spider-Man, which is not really a spin-off, but it's like a weird relationship there and there. Spire Cops in there. Obviously you got, Miguel O'Hara we talked about. There's all the PS4 version of Spider-Man's in there. It's just a plethora of Spider-Man. And that is fun. It is really cool. But if they're also just in the background, it's like that doesn't do much for me. It's like I want to know why these Spider-Man are taking them out and stuff like that. So check out Marvel Alliance this week because I guarantee they're going to break it down frame by frame and be paused and talk about each individual Spider-Man, especially because people like Brent are going to know more than me because Spider-Man's this guy and stuff like that, right? Love Spider-Man. He's in my top 10, but he's not my guy. Wolverine's my guy, and then after that would be Daredevil's my guy. So let's see. Oh no, Espels. Matt Reeves need to call the analyst to include Batman Calzone money to get his box office to $1 billion. Well, The Rock would have done it, Rock would have put that in there. So we didn't see the spot. I was surprised about that. I think they confirmed that he's the villain of Beyond the Spider-Verse 2. Very fun character. If you haven't seen it, go watch the animated series or pick up a comic book. But like that was my first affiliation with him. Very fun character, perfect for this world. I was wanting a little bit of him, but again, is a weird trailer and what they chose. To me, it was just like they wanted this trailer out. That's what I really think it was. And they're not ready for like that full trailer, but they had more than like a teaser. So yeah, I'm excited. Like they showed concept art of Gwen's New York. I'm excited to go there and see what her universe is like. So I'm very excited. Like I said, I love Spider-Verse. It's a fucking triumph. I could, like I said, say it's the best comic movie all time easily. So I don't think 2 and 3 are going to reach that. I want them to, but it's just hard to strike that lightning twice. It's just like, that's a very tough task for any director to do, any team and stuff like that. So we'll be here reviewing it, stuff like that. I'm excited. It'll be a good time. And yeah, so let's see. Let's take our second ad break, and then we're talking about Patty Jenkins. Oh, Patty Jenkins. So we'll be right back. And we're back. I made the big rookie mistake of not taking water, during said ad break, so I apologize. It's the chat's fault, really. We start talking about the inside baseball. I've gone on longer and stuff like that, but, that's okay. It's always a good time. So, Patty Jenkins. Last week, DC shitstorm, right? What's real, what's not. Some's true, some's not, like James Gunn said, all this stuff, right? But the main crux of what we've talked about a few times is Wonder Woman 3 canceled or dead in its current form, right? She's making a pitch, This was the story that people put out. At first it was, it's a no-go in its current form. And then I think a few people, I know the Rat for sure. I don't know if Deadline did, but let's just go with the Rat for sure at least. Because I thought someone gave the abbreviated version of like, hey, they offered her a chance to rewrite the treatment or script, and she said no. And then the Rap came with, well, she said no, and she was full of piss and vinegar. She went home. She sent an email about, Wikipedia character arc definitions, all this stuff, which I just don't believe. I think it's kind of glamorized and stuff like that. But, oh man, I forgot, Maddie. I'm really sorry to answer your Patreon question. You said if you're still listening, because I guess I kind of said it. You said like, what could they be hiding for the Spider-Man Spider-Verse stuff? I think it's just like Andrew, Toby, and Tom. Those are the 3, and then I think in Beyond the Spider-Verse, so not this one, they will have a Endgame Portals like moment with all the spider people, and that's what they're gonna hide. They're not gonna show that. I hope it's not Portals, but they'll show something to do with that. So Maddie, I apologize. I didn't mean it. I promise you. You sent a lot of questions and stuff like that, so I appreciate it. But yeah, that's my thoughts there. So back to, sorry for the cutout, people. Back to this situation. So the idea was, okay, she had a film, they didn't like it, or they didn't fit with the plan. They offered her a rewrite, didn't happen. She walked. And I was like, okay, pros and cons, of course, the narrative. And I think that's why she's putting out a statement, because the narrative was very much like, oh, she's hard to work with. That's why Squadron didn't happen. And that's why, this isn't happening now. Like Patty, it's tough to deal with. But now, whether it's true or not, and you can play pessimistic, which I agree can always happen in the situation, but Patty Jenkins put out this statement about all these things. She goes, sigh. I'm not one to talk about private career matters, but I will not allow the inaccuracies to continue. Here are the facts. Character definition. No, I'm joking. I originally left Rogue Squadron after a long and productive development process when it became clear it couldn't happen soon enough. Classic Lucasfilm. That's me, by the way, not her. Back to her. I did not want to delay Wonder Woman 3 any further. I don't know why I read it like that. I did not want to delay it any further. When I did, Lucasfilm asked me to consider coming back to Rogue Squadron after Wonder Woman 3, which I was honored to do so, and I agreed. They made a new deal with me. They made a new deal. What does that mean? I don't know. We'll talk about it. In fact, I'm still on the project, and that has been active development ever since. I don't know if it'll happen or not. We never do until development process is complete, but I look forward to potential ahead. Okay. So that's part one. Let's just break that down, I guess, at least. Rogue Squadron. Is it back on? I want to know, they made a new deal with me. When is that deal? To me, the way this is, because I saw people sharing it and aggregating it as like they made it sound like Wonder Woman 3 didn't happen. She went back to Lucasfilm, made a new deal. We're back on. The way she puts it here to me is, when I did leave, because for Wonder Woman 3, Lucasfilm asked me to consider coming back to Rogue Squadron after Wonder Woman 3, and I was honored to do so, so I agreed. They made a new deal with me. Is it a handshake deal? Is it a redeal? Is it a pass? Or is this like what people have said? Like literally they've made a new deal there. I'm going to say no, because the way that sentence is worded and also with the way that she goes, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. That to me seems like it's a little in flux. So that's where, not in flux maybe as bad as before, but it's not like a full on go ahead, right? I think people are probably happy about this. Like, I think if people were to choose after Wonder Woman 1984, they probably would have picked her doing Rogue Squadron. These past 2 weeks, like, I definitely have Wonder Woman 1984 lower in my DCU rankings. It's not one I returned to. Like I said, I tried a couple weeks ago, kind of fell asleep, and just then when I tried again, just turned off. I wasn't that interested. I'll probably try to put on as like another sleep movie and everything like that. But these past 2 weeks, I've learned how much people just hate that movie. Hate it. And I don't think it even deserves it. I think it's like a meh movie. I think we have so much worse when people say it's like the worst DC or comic movie. There's so much worse out there. But, to each their own. So it's the thing that I've learned how so many people dislike that movie. And then also, so with this is, I feel like people are happy she'd be back on Rogue Squadron. Now people still might go, oh, she made 84, so I don't know if I can get excited. But still, that's a bit more positive route of it. So I don't know if it's going to happen. Lucasfilm is Lucasfilm. You never know what's going on over there. You know what's going on over Kathy. But I'm at least happy, if this is true, that it's not both of them. Like, if we have to lose one, we're only, like, if we have to lose him, we're just losing one, not both. Because I do like the idea of Rogue Squadron for Taylor. He should get it. He's been pitching it for a while. So for him, I'd be happy, to get it, even though actually he deserves crud and Cole, everything. He cheated in the wrestling match. Come on. Fucking bastard. But anyway, so that's Rogue Squadron. Said there's a new deal. Said there, and that's kind of clearing the air too of that narrative, right? That narrative of she's hard to work with. That's why Rogue Squadron fell through. She's saying, nah, not the case. So that's the first part of the statement. Hopefully it happens, just to get any Star Wars film. Let's hope it happens. Let's see. When there started being backlash about Wonder Woman 3 not happening, which is, it's a weird way I guess they're right. Okay, I see what she's saying here. For not happening, the attractive clickbait false story that is me that killed or walked away started to spread. This is simply not true. I never walked away. I was open to considering anything asked of me, and which people brought up too is like she's not gonna take fucking notes. Like, but that's what she's saying here. It was my understanding there was nothing wrong, or there was nothing I could do to move anything forward at this time. We're gonna come back to that. DC is obviously buried in changes they're having to make, so I understand these decisions are difficult. I do not want that or what was a beautiful journey of Wonder Woman to land on a negative note. I have loved and been honored to be be the person who got to make these last two Wonder Woman films. And the rest is all just I love Gal, I love Linda Carter, yada, yada, yada. Go read for that. It's a nice statement. It's a good statement. So this quote to me is very interesting. It was my understanding there was nothing I could do to move anything forward at this time. I've said this before that I think it's like a medium soft reboot, right? That sentence reads like a reboot though, because you're telling me there's nothing you could pitch it so there's a few things. Either one, they actually thought it was just that terrible, 84, and whatever she was pitching that they don't even want to work with her. Okay, there's that. I don't know. I wouldn't believe that out of the James and Peter Safran and stuff like that. Like she still made the first one. She's still very talented. I don't believe it would just be we're gonna find a way to fucking oust her out. But maybe it is. Okay, and we're gonna just say no to everything. Okay, and then so there is the argument of the rebooting or just the plans. I guess if it's not, they can say, hey, this script. They can say it's great, but it doesn't fit into what we're doing, and we don't even exactly know what we're doing. So that's not working. So that's where it could legitimately be, hey, we are just waiting, get back to us, and it's just not going to work right now. Like that's what it's saying, right? Or it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I guess I was just saying that a medium soft reboot where, hey, we'll get back to you, in a bit, maybe. I don't know. It was a weird statement, but at the same time, it was a safe one saying, oh, DC's in lots of difficulties right now and all this stuff. And I think she just mostly wanted to get out there that she did not walk. She's not walking away from Wonder Woman. She would have played game and stuff like that. So I don't know. And that's like Super Mike says, like, sounds like they have her on standby until they have a plan put out together. And that's what I just don't know from the statement. Is it just nice way of her walking away, or is it it is on standby and it couldn't move forward right now? I don't know. I'm very 50-50 on it. Like, I don't think Patty Jenkins will direct the next Wonder Woman, so maybe that takes my number to like a 51. But it's kind of confusing, because then what makes it more confusing? Let's see. 184 is bad to how when you compare it to the first one. Huge drop off, says Super Mike. I get that. No, 100%. I understand, because that's what happens, right? But I feel like there's so many times where that happened a lot to like Spider-Man 3 or X3, which aren't great, but then when I watch them, I have enjoyment of them, and I can like pass certain things and stuff like that, because that's all we had. But now when I watch them, not pass them. And now when I watch them, I go, oh, these are a lot better than some of the other things we've gotten, because there's much worse we've gotten, right? So that's what I mean. I don't know from the statement what it is, like if she's on standby, if it's done, who knows. But then let me pull up James Gunn, followed up here by saying, I can attest that all Peter and my interactions with you were only pleasant and professional. Now that's what I was gonna say. That's to me what she wanted to get out of the way, was the idea that she walked away. Which to me, I think it's true, because if you were like, I guess the part you'd want to dispute is the email, Wikipedia definition, all this stuff, right? But to me, if you walked away, that's the power move. That's what you did, and everyone's reporting on it. For her to come out and say, "Oh, that didn't happen," I do believe that, and I didn't believe this at first. Like the first time I heard it, I still don't believe it now about the whole sent email for definition stuff like that. A character arc to the writers or Saffron and Gunn and everything like that. No, I don't believe that. I think that is a fairy tale made up, fugazi, as someone would say. To me, her saying, "Hey, I didn't walk away," takes away everything about the emails, the attitude, stuff like that. To me, that's just somebody on a different camp, somebody that doesn't like her, that wants to put that stuff out there. Because to me, her saying that kind of debunks the rest of it. And now James, he says, like I said, I can attend that all of Peter, my interactions with you were only pleasant and professional. There's two ways. Either they're both just full of shit and they're just playing cool, right? That's people do that after breakups, people do that after jobs and stuff like that, because usually that is the better route to go. Why air out drama? Because like it's done, one, and two, like you don't want to also air out drama because if the other person's not game, that's gonna just blow a bridge. You don't want to blow a bridge with Warner Brothers or DC because maybe she does come back for Wonder Woman 3, or maybe she does do something else with Warner Brothers. Don't blow up that bridge. And honestly, most of the time, the drama over the timeline between directors and stuff like that and anybody, it just doesn't look good. Like it's just like it never comes off well, and stuff like that. So that's option one. That they're just taking the high road, and if they're taking the high road, I get that James Gunn has to do it as like a PR standpoint, but I'm sure she'd be pissed, like, fuck this guy and stuff like that. But to me, in my scenario, if we're trusting them, which I am, which I get, some people might not. So much stuff has happened over the years with DC, why you wouldn't trust them. But she's saying, hey, I didn't walk away. I didn't, in a sense, send that email. I didn't say I wouldn't rewrite my treatment. It just couldn't happen under these circumstances. Gunn saying you were nothing but professional, to me, would confirm that. That would confirm whatever she's saying here, sure, that she didn't walk away, and they were the ones that said, nah, not going to work. Whether it's because they want a new Wonder Woman, whether it's because they don't know what they're doing, whether they just don't want to work with Patty, to me, this is that they said nah. And Gunn is being nice enough to kind of be like, hey, on the way out, you're fucking fantastic. Some people might take it as patronizing now, of like, oh, you're so good to work with, because I've seen, then why don't you work with her for Wonder Woman 3? It's like, we don't know the fucking conversations they're having, but that I tend to believe that it is true for the most part. I'm sure maybe it wasn't as copacetic. She's losing Wonder Woman 3, big payday, and more importantly, she seems to really love the character, right? So that's where I'm sure it's not all hunky-dory, but it's a good statement, and I think it's also something you want to see from DC, when lots of times when people put up a white notepad with a bunch of paragraphs for DC, it's not gone well. So I think this is a good step in the right direction. We'll see. I still don't think she'll ever direct Wonder Woman 3, but you never know. Femclay says, do you honestly think James and Peter are going to sideline the JL cast characters for a whole phase or to build the universe regardless? That's what's the big talk on Reddit and Twitter. Well, I don't know, because I feel like he's not going to do the Marvel thing. Again, the Marvel thing is you start with, let's say, a Batman, like the DCU Batman, right? Or Superman, then you build up. I don't think you're doing that. I do think it's either they sideline and build up, or it is you start with a Justice League movie. You start with, whether it's characters coming back or a full reboot, you start there, then you work, towards the solos, new establishments of the world, stuff like that, like a Justice League War, stuff like that, the animated stuff, right? Could they? Yeah, they could. I think they would, honestly. I know it's sounds weird for me to say, but I think that would honestly depend on what James Gunn feels about Phase 4 for the MCU. Which is so weird because I feel so many people rank it as their last. It's like, where were you for Phase 2, everybody? I know you got Winter Soldier in there, but please. Phase 4 was kind of that. Now it's different because we lost Tony, we lost Cat, we lost Widow and stuff like that. But still, it felt like it very much like, hey, the main characters, because now they've owned Fantastic Four, they've owned X-Men. They could have introduced them already by now. We've seen that, but they're not, right? And even main Avengers, even in an Avengers team, we haven't met. We haven't gone an Avengers film. We're getting an Avengers film, 2025? Before that, okay, Infinity War and Endgame were a year before, but before that, they were every 3 years. So to me, Phase 4 feels like a little bit they've sidelined the main people, brought new ones. I don't. Because I feel like just saying your whole phase, the first phase of the DCU is just going to be unknowns and change up and new characters. To me, that is a risk. And again, maybe Zaslav hired him and he pitches this and he's like, that's fucking great. You did Suicide Squad, you Peacemaker, you did Guardians. You are our man to do this. But if he was just tweeting out photos of Lobo, Mr. Terrific, who else did he tweet out that was like a Jonah Hex. There's another good example. If he just tweeted them out, then sure. But he didn't. Even that Twitter thread the other day, he ended it with a fucking picture of the Justice League. He posted a picture of Kingdom Come as his backdrop. He said Superman's a priority. So that's why I feel like it's going to be a mix. I could see a half and half of establish weird characters. If you got a phase 1, to me, what you should do is, whoa, sorry, desk, I just fucking destroyed that. What you should do is, like I said, the 50-50. Do your Justice League movie, and that's where you introduce the new either Affleck's back or the new Batman. And because if you think about that, like you get a Justice League movie, and by that time, Holy Matt Reeves is already at 2. By the time you want to do like a DCU solo Batman, Reeves could be done. So that's why I feel like introduce him last, leave him as like a big hook to like. I think that would be really cool. I know some people might be mad. I guess they did that BVS of it, but I think this would be different. Of Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, I don't know, Jon Stewart and Flash, like they all get their solo movies. Superman gets solo movies, but a few of the members don't. And if it's like the first time you get to see the, what's going to be the hopefully next 10-year actor who plays the DCU Batman, you're going to see it here. Not saying they keep it a surprise casting, just saying like that's the first appearance. I think that adds a little oomph to it. So I think that's what they're going to do. I don't think it's just going to be a slate of completely new characters because I think that's very risky. They should go out there and make like one of the well-knowns as like a given to make some sort of money, right? So Mike says, for all we know, Peacemaker season 2 might be building block DCU. I find it hard that he'll nor his Suicide Squad. Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with the Peacemaker thing. I think it's kind of weird. I don't think it could be a building block, but you never know, right? That's where I was always, where I don't think he's gonna reboot his stuff, but it's been a fucking crazy year, right? Like who knows? They could have, but apparently they've had a meeting and we'll see how that goes. I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun time either way. So let's take another ad break, and then we're gonna talk about some Echo and Avatar and stuff like that. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So, and that's what Mike says, Justice League versus Suicide Squad. Yeah, they could do that. It's not so much I'm up for the idea. I just don't think it's earned yet. I just like from the team, I put Suicide Squad on another adventure and give us another Justice League movie of whatever the current cast is going to be. I just feel like that's like a rush to do something. It sounds like The Rock trying to pitch like Justice League versus Black Adam. It's like, bro, you're not even making $400 million. You could lie about those results, but we know you're not happening. So, speaking on the other side of the pond, I had an article there, but anyways, I'll try to go off top of the head that the showrunner, I think the showrunner head writer, someone let me know in the chat if you could, for Echo had a post on social media that they're not expecting the show to come out to like late 2023, even being like December late. This is interesting because this happened and it was a few, like it kind of came up again today, and this happened. It's been coming up a few times, right? Because I know there's a Weekly Geek where I think Taylor and Kirklin covered it, where they made it like Feige made some statements, which he did not. They covered it, and then more stories came out, and then this happened, and then there's more again. Murray's like, yeah, I've heard some things, and that's where like I think the idea was that most of the 2023 slate is good to go because lots of in production. Like that slate for the most part is going to be what you know and love, but then after that, it's going to be a mix and mash. Like it's gonna, as far as like what goes forward and what stays. There's been lots of people saying there's nothing canceled yet, but a lot of stuff moving down the line years later. And the idea is that they want to take their time with them. Great. I think we've all talked about before, there's been issues for me specifically, CGI issues and stuff like that. But if Feige, Lord and Savior, the gold standard, if he needs more time, let him have the more time. I get you got a quota. I get you always got to try to get more subs. I get you got to try and hit a box office number. But if delaying it, a few months, 6 months, a year, something like that makes it better, then do it. It'll be better in the long run. Even if it doesn't pull the same numbers, it's good to have a, like Andor, sure, it's not a ratings juggernaut, but at least it's loved and stuff like that. And it's getting nominated for, oh, God, never mind, the Globes. Fuck the Globes. But it hopefully will get nominated for Emmys and stuff like that, right? So take the time. This one doesn't hurt me because I'm not really excited for Echo. I think it's my least favorite, or like my least anticipated thing in the MCU coming up. So there's that. Sure, have it delayed. Makes sense to me. Delay everything you need to. Make it better. Make it tighter. Stuff like that. And we'll see how much this actually shifts. Because again, this is still to me like a smaller product. But and when I actually shift, I mean like the entire slate. There's gonna be a few things here and there to make room for said new IP or not, so We'll see. So apparently, don't expect Echo anytime soon, and hopefully they just don't touch Daredevil and stuff like that. So, Avatar: Way of the Water projections. Avatar: Way of the Water on track for $500 million opening weekend. You can think about it. I'm gonna take a drink of water here. $500 million opening weekend. Now it's no Endgame that did $1 billion one weekend, but still, it's very impressive. That's where, back to the video in our podcast where Mike was talking about what our Avatar numbers would do, all in the game. Oh, right, you talked about Avatar 3 and stuff like that. It is like I've said this so much, right? But I feel like this is the new, for two reasons, because of COVID and just the way superhero films drop. It is always about the second weekend. Second weekend's Christmas, so even someone like myself, I'm seeing it the Friday before, like the Christmas Eve. That's what I'm seeing it. And I feel like there's tons of other people that will. They'll see it with their families. So to me, it's really about week 3 and 4, which sounds weird because I think week 1's going to do great. Right now, it's projected from 150 to 175, right? So I think once, what is Doctor Strange? Let's see, Multiverse of Madness opening weekend. I think that's the biggest one right now, right? And I thought that was like 170. That was the estimation. Box Office Pro. Table. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. 11th place of all time. Just give me the fucking number, Impressive 185. So it would be, let's see, we'll have to survive the Puss in Boots sweep. Hey, there's gonna be a lot of families seeing that. Don't like, again, I don't think it's gonna be $1 billion and it could struggle like other family films, but don't count it out yet. But so 185. So this would put in, I think, Thor: Love and Thunder or Black Panther was kind of like, that was like 174. So it's gonna be in like the top 5 openings. And that right there, obviously, I think we've talked about on the show that it is opening in China, and I think it's already projected to make like $250 million there easily. China fucking loves Avatar, and they just open up all their theaters. Who would have thunk? I'm gonna try and believe it's coincidence and not that they felt like the Healthline guidelines were so bad they had to keep theaters and stuff still closed because Avatar is out and they want to watch these fucking blue aliens. They open them up. I hope for those people. That's not how it went. So $500 million's great. That's a great start right there. Obviously, Cameron says it has to be like a top 5, has to make like $2 billion to make a profit and stuff like that. I think that Avatar, this one, will hit $1 billion. I do. Maybe I'm wrong about that because, like I said, week 1, big box office opening week, and you gotta look at it. The first one made like 66 million. So this is gonna pretty much 100% like double it and then some. So the fact that but the problem is lots of movies have that happen now, right? Where they have, that's why it's all about the second week, where they have a massive weekend, people rush out to see it, but then the next weekend, big drop, 65, 70, 80% drop. You don't want that with this. And I don't think it's gonna have the legs of Avatar or even Top Gun. Maybe Top Gun because the big opening and stuff like that here, but I don't think it's gonna have the legs of Avatar. But it at least shows to me 500 million is that's that bare minimum, the opening weekend. It's a great number. And I always wonder, it's not that like because I think I've always said that Avatar, this one was going to make $1 billion. I still felt that because I felt like enough people liked it and enough people were curious and stuff. Man, what the fuck's going on with my camera night? If anyone's watching YouTube, I'm just getting so out of focus like all the time. Let's see. We said most movies make their money in first 2 weeks, right? You think it'll hit $2 billion in 2 weeks? That's more than Endgame numbers. No, because I don't think it's hitting $2 billion. I think it's gonna finish with like a 1.6 to 1.8, somewhere in there. I could be wrong because China could pop off. That is the Lone Ranger. We don't fully know. It's already projected for 250 there, right? So, and that's like the overall growth. So it's hard for me to guess, Clay, but I don't think it's gonna hit $2 billion in 2 weeks because I think it'll hit maybe $1 billion in 1 week or 2 weeks, but not $2 billion. I think that might be too much unless word of mouth is really, really good, but we'll see. Word of mouth seems positive as of right now. And again, the budgets of this are all over the place and all in the game. I think Avatar 3 is happening no matter what. Cameron did say that he's ridden it to, if it didn't happen, or sorry, if it was going to happen and it'd be the end, that you could end it right there. So that's smart. Even he knows, hey, it might bust and we'll see. I might not get another crack at this. They're filming the first act of Avatar 1, which could be a mistake and stuff like that. So Superman Mike says, I know a lot of people personally who have not seen any movies in theater but are coming out for Avatar 2. And that's the thing, right? I do believe Avatar is that if people see 2 to 4 movies a year, Avatar would be one of those. Because I think it's one of those of like, not for our podcast size that we were talking about where there's gonna be lots to talk about, but I feel like people just want to be able to say, I saw Avatar 2, the sequel to the biggest movie of all time. Young generations will want to see it, be like, okay, what was the idea? Like, I wasn't around when it was in theaters. What is this movie like now? And go see it, right? Sure, they could still re-release, but that might not be hype for them. Um, that's the thing where it's it's doing, it's gonna, at least if it hits its projections, doing well, doing better than I thought it could, at least opening weekend. But to me, it is about the following week, see if it has that word of mouth, because it's not the same era where it could just run game for months and months and months. It could maybe have January and then Ant-Man's there and then would cut it off. But we also saw with Top Gun where Top Gun did that. Not to the same numbers as Endgame, but it just kept running and sticking around and stuff like that. New movies would come out, be back in the top 6, 5 and stuff like that. So, yeah, but I think on the game, Avatar 3 is at least confirmed. And I think 500 million is not what they'd want, but I think it's going to be higher than that and they will get what they want. I think that it's enough to justify 3. 3 to me is the big one, and that's where it's like he said he'd make 3 this ending in case 2 didn't deliver. To me, it's like, okay, biggest movie of all time. Almost 2 decades till we get the I guess what is it, 2019? Yeah. So okay, no, over a decade since we got the first film, and that has that, like, maybe not the same for other people, but like a Star Wars, right? Like an idea of like, oh, I wasn't around for this. I want to be a part of it. Um, I want to see the blue aliens. So to me, 3 is the question because people can go see these blue aliens, go, fuck that. I don't want to see it. I don't need to see it. I've seen enough. So to me, the drops after are gonna really solidify what happens next with the franchise. If it keeps chugging along like Avatar 1, sure. If it beats like some other films like an Endgame or an Infinity War or stuff like that, yeah, again, I don't think Cameron's right where it has to be in the top 3 to be the most profitable movie of all time, or like a top 3 or something like that to make a profit. But I don't know, James Cameron's something. So we need to get to 5 so we can see avatars on Earth. Oh, why? Why would they go to Earth? Now maybe they're kidnapped. Maybe it's Rise of Planet Ape style where they or not just Planet Ape style where they land there. Who knows? But let's see. Multiverse Madness opened 150 to 200 more theaters than Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Otherwise, the latter would have opened bigger than that. Don't know why Disney has never given its biggest solo franchise the biggest possible window. Yeah, I don't either. That's kind of weird, especially for Strange and whatnot, right? Maybe they just felt it wasn't going to do as good as the first one, which still technically has it, right? It's all about that spectacle and experience. About 99% of the people don't even know the main character's name. No, they don't. Post-credit scene in 5 teasing Avatar versus Alien. There you go. That's what I want there. But yeah, but again, same thing. For Avatar 3, let's say these people that see 4 movies a year, they go out, see it. Maybe they're back for Avatar 2, right? Just to do this kind of same situation where, I'm enjoying it, but I think if enough people don't like it and enough people kind of not turn against it, that's where I am with these. I'm going to go see 2, but after this I might. It's tough because the podcast is a job. And you know what? I wasn't on 2, so maybe I'll be on the 3 review, but it's still like, if I don't have to see in theaters, I won't. It's like, it's great to have a spectacle and a visual smorgasbord, but if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to sit another 3 hours plus in the theater to be in Pandora, right? And I think a lot of other people could do that. That runtime's going to be long, and if it's not as good as the sequel or people feel that way, they'll be checking the watch, being like, you know what? I don't need to see this again, So we'll see. Going to be very interested to track that for the following Trash Told Yous. After that double, not much to say here. We got our first look at Joker 2, our first look at Joaquin Phoenix, looking like he's in Arkham. What was it? I think it was Arkham Penitentiary or Arkham State Hospital or something like that in Joker. But he's just like, looks like his arms are behind his back. He's shirtless, getting shaved, much like people in the asylum and stuff like that. Wondering if he is like doing a Joker from Dark Knight Returns where he's not talking. There's nothing that like brings it up and stuff like that until Batman. Obviously, they would have to change that with this, but I just wonder. That's just me taking from a shot, but he looked very solemn. But again, he always looks very solemn. So maybe I'm wrong there. But yeah, apparently we're not getting our first look at Harley Quinn till the new year. That's when Gaga starts filming. So I'm very curious to see if we actually get a look of Gaga, because for Joker, great idea for everybody. Anytime you're going outside and you're doing a physical shot, like I recommend doing what they did for this, like the Batman. Put out a video, make it look good, shoot it good, 4K, not some fucking video of like flip phone, look, there's Joaquin Phoenix Joker. So that's the thing with Lady Gaga. If she's not filming till next year, and if most movie takes place in Arkham, there's a chance they might not show that or wait till a trailer, because they don't have to show us. Lady Gaga's not going to be outside. So it's the perfect situation to kind of hide that. They might still put out to gain like hype, but it doesn't have a release date. So it's like, take your time. So I really like that. Speaking of Joaquin Phoenix, I will bring in Maddie Seggs' second question. What are your expectations for Ari Aster's new film? What do you make of it so far, given the scarce details we have? Nothing. I make nothing of it. Because all I've seen is set photos. I saw a set photo where Joaquin Phoenix was in his PJs or something like that. The same ones that says Beau. Because now this movie's been changed. It was Disappointment Boulevard, and now it's changed to Beau is Afraid. I like Disappointment Boulevard better. It's not the greatest title. What is it? Beau is Afraid is a better title. Marketable, quick, easy. Nothing Ari has to worry about, but still, a studio will. And the kid on the poster is wearing like the same type of flannel PJs, and I like the idea of like the Beau is Afraid, the hashtag's like in the corner, and then it just says Joaquin Phoenix, and people memeing like that's what the movie's called. But no, obviously it's not. Obviously, I didn't know till today, because Dylan asked like, no, that's it. And then I looked around like, oh, all these people are reporting as Beau is Afraid. Jeez, so I guess I'm wrong here. I don't know if it's like a twisted version of Big. And I have nothing to go off, Maddie. I don't know what it could be. I don't know what the twist is. I don't think anybody should be able to figure out with, Ari Aster's mind and stuff like that. You just know there's going to be a morality tale and about characters that are going through some shit and stuff like that. The fact that the kid and him look like they had similar PJs, I think there's something there to that. What? I don't know, but it's Ari Aster and Joaquin Phoenix. That's easily day one. Both Midsommar and Hereditary, on prom rewatches I've liked even more, which is a good thing. So yeah, that's coming out next year. Very excited. No date yet, so we'll see what's going on with Beau is Afraid. But yeah, that's my prediction, Maddie, right now. It's just a baseline. All I have to go off is 2 photos, similar looking PJs, something to do with age changing and stuff like that. So, and that could work if they hire, I don't know, hopefully it's a good kid actor, and hopefully what they're doing works out. I don't know. It's Ari Aster, so I'm sure it's gonna work out. It's you never know till you see the piece of the puzzle. But that's just what I'm taking from it so far. So what else do we have to cover here? We talked about Beau. We talked about projections, Joker. I think that's everything. Yeah, because I think what's going to happen is Maddie, you sent a question about the trailers. I'm going to talk about that after, because as I jinxed myself at the beginning of this cast, I've been casting so good. It's fine. I'm not as sick. I'm definitely better, but now my throat is starting to hurt. And if I do the trailers, that'll be another half an hour to 45 minutes. So the beginning, so Maddie, blame the chat. They may have me rambling on, but the beginning portion, that took a little time, but Maddie will answer your questions. Like I said, because I have this Scream trailer tomorrow and A26, I think that's what it's called, or just 26 with Adam Driver or Sam Raimi producing. There's some trailers. So what you might end up getting is the Avatar review will be out, but then if you look just below that, there might be another Travis told you. If I can squeeze it out, I'm going to try, because I got the Daughter's Dance recital. So we'll see. So I'll talk about them then. Thank you to everybody that joined in the chat. I really appreciate it, especially these late night casts. Some people I know Eastern time, you're up late. Appreciate it, because that's why I try to ask for questions beforehand, because I know most people won't be up. But thank you very much for tuning in and give me some stuff to talk about. And I promise when you hear from me next, it'll not be boring.